Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today and spending your Sunday afternoon with us. We're super excited to, get to have events again. We haven't done a virtual event in a little bit now. So it's fun to kind of get back to that a little bit. And we're super excited to have Jill Felber here with us. She is fabulous. And I think we can all use a little discipline in our practice right now, if you're anything like me, and are kind of lacking, some of that motivation at this point in the past year or so. So I am very much looking forward to that. And we'll get started in just a couple minutes here. We will have time for questions at the end. And if you do want to, even type them in throughout, just to make sure you don't forget or anything, we can definitely utilize the chat feature too, which can be really helpful, and drop them down there just so they're kind of out there. And then we'll make sure to get to those too if you have any questions. All right, awesome. Well, welcome everyone. I'm super excited to get started here. I'll hand things over to Jill shortly. For the performers, when you do start playing or anything like that, if you want to just briefly introduce yourself to everyone and just say your name, your age, where you go to school and all that, that would be perfect. And I wanted to start off as we're kind of all, delving into this packet to have this opportunity, for kind of an extreme makeover for our flute playing. I wanted to start off with a quote from a participant that completed this in May of this year. So completing Jill Felber's 6-week Extreme Makeover Flute Edition program completely transformed my playing. I improved more than I thought was possible in just 6 weeks. By the end of the program, my articulation was clear and I had increased dynamic range in all registers, better breath management, and more flexibility in my tone and vibrato. I completed the Extreme Makeover Flute Edition program before recording my pre-screening recordings for graduate school auditions. The program was exactly what I needed to be prepared for my audition recordings and often the overwhelming graduate school application process, supporting me from start to finish. I left every lesson I had with Professor Felber feeling cared for, inspired, and confident that I had the tools I needed to succeed in my own practicing. She has an incredible range of tools for teaching and for every seemingly impossible problem I brought to her. She had strategies and solutions to help me work through them. She is an incredible and inspiring musician, and I'm so grateful for all of the support she gave me in my personal growth and in my growth as a musician throughout this program. So I think that perfectly sums up, if any of you have gotten to work with Jill in the past, everything she has to offer as a person and a teacher and a flutist. So without any further ado, I will hand everything over to Jill. And Jill, if you do want me to share my screen at any point, I do have that packet if you want me to do that. So totally up to you, but I will hand it over.
Thank you. What a great opportunity, and Happy New Year to everybody. Wow, it feels like so long ago. It was Happy New Year, but this is just a really great moment for us to kind of get new perspective and new perceptions of our playing. We have the time during quarantine, luckily, to really focus on things. We have fewer distractions. This is a great time, even though we're not performing live, it's just a great time to work on the fundamentals and really to accomplish your goals, like one step at a time. And we're in the middle of January, and we're probably going to be in quarantine till, maybe summer or so. So this is a really good time, big chunk of time to make some progress. So I'm giving you a lot of structure with this routine. We've got 16 exercises, and you've got some accountability with your Extreme Makeover worksheet. So we'll go through that in a bit. But I just want to tell you a little bit about how and why I assembled this routine. And I started this over a decade ago with students that wanted to study with me in the summer. They came to Santa Barbara. They had a private practice room. I chose 6 people. So I had 2 professionals. I had a grad student. I had an undergrad. I had an adult amateur, and I had a high school student that flew from Austin. And they came here to work with me for 6 weeks. And of course, they were all different levels. And all I asked was that they practice 4 hours a day, but spread it out throughout the day. And of course, this is extreme. You may not have 4 hours a day right now, but you probably do have 2 hours a day that you can work on. So what we did was we met as a group the first day and assessed where we were. And then I met with everybody individually and went through all of these 16 exercises. And by the end of the 6 weeks, everybody, including the adult amateur and the high school student, whizzed right through these. And once we get started and you see how difficult these are, you're going to really appreciate what structure and having a routine and being dedicated can really do. So I put together these 16 exercises, and of course I'm calling it Essential Flute. Everything has to be essential now. Essential Flute quarantine routine using my Extreme Makeover. And for those of you that received the packet, I think there's like 8 pages of a lot of detail. And so this is sort of the second edition of this. And I wanted to do the detail so that you can really help yourselves during this quarantine. But this is designed to really transform your tone with more power and projection. And we're going to demystify the way we respond and the way we exit notes, especially in the extreme range, in the upper register and in the low register, and very, very soft dynamics too. We're going to improve the core and consistency in all registers, so that's really nice and even. And we're going to create a facile technique in the extreme ranges, especially the low part and the very top stratosphere. You're going to find that your efficiency in scales is really, really improved throughout the entire range. And of course, I'm going to be saying the word extreme quite a bit. Extreme dynamics today, extreme vibrato, extreme range, extreme progress. And I think you're going to find it really fun and actually addictive and a very transformative routine. So I took some exercises from the seminars that I went to, studying with James Galway and William Bennett, and I borrowed some exercises from Jeffrey Gilbert's book, Technical Flexibility. I used some exercises from my former teacher, Judith Bentley, and some exercises from Bradley Garner, who used to teach at Cincinnati, and I taught with him for 15 summers. So it's a little bit of everything. And I think once you go through these 16 exercises, you'll really know that we've covered everything. So I think you should decide how many weeks you really want to devote to this. Right now, we can say 6 months, because we're probably going to be where we are in 6 months. So it doesn't have to be 6 weeks. So if you really want to stretch it out, that's fine. But I would suggest at least 2 hours a day to do this routine. And when I say that, I'm talking about a 25-minute segment with a 10-minute break and then another 25-minute segment. So that's 50 minutes of playing with a 10-minute break. That's a 1 hour. Then completely at the other end of the day, you can do the first set in the morning. At the other end of the day, you could do the same thing, 25 minutes, 10-minute break, 25. And you're going to find that in 3 or 4 days, things are really going to start to improve. If you have 4-hour commitment, please spread it out throughout the day, 9 in the morning, noon, 3, and 7 or 8. You really need to rest. I've never had anybody have any hand trouble or carpal tunnel or any issues because of the 25-minute rule, 10-minute break, 25. So you just really want to check in with your body, make sure your hands are nice and comfortable and that your shoulders are really relaxed, and make sure you're hydrated either with some tea or some water. And I have my Miyazawa cup. Thank you, Kathy Miller, right here. So we have my hydration right here. And then we'll talk a little bit about some stretches as we go along, just to help you. But the main thing is to have a good attitude and a sense of humor. These are not going to be easy, and you're going to feel a little bit uncoordinated at first. But just, I use the word acceptance. So just allow yourself to accept where you are today. So let's get started. We're going to do the first one, and I'd like Hannah to unmute herself. And we're going to go through the sweet spot exercise with Hannah.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a student at University of Illinois. I'm a sophomore. So yeah, I work with Jonathan Keeble.
Okay, so can you hear me? Or are we having feedback?
Having a little bit of feedback issues, but I can hear you.
Okay, so what we're going to do with this one is start with a second octave G, and then we're going to roll in and go super, super flat. So you're going to diminish your air, and don't worry about the tone quality. It's going to get very thin and very flat. Then we're going to roll way out past the normal position and go super sharp. It'll be very thin, very airy, and then come back to the normal position. And we do this just to stretch your lips and to get your air going. It also trains your ear to make sure that you are listening to where it's most resonant and most in tune, okay? But I want your pitch to be very, very, very flat, very, very sharp in an extreme way, okay? Again, don't worry about the quality of the tone when you're going flat. Don't worry about the quality of the tone when you're going sharp. Rolling in. Past. And then normal. Okay, so I'm gonna unmute myself and I'd like you to do that on G. Good. So if you can work on it being a little bit more extreme, so maybe start with a little more power and then lighten up with your power and then roll back out and go super, super sharp and very airy. And again, make it more extreme and come back to the middle. We'll have you do it one more time. Same note. Beautiful. Did you feel a little bit more stretched that time in the lower lip? You can just shake your head. Yeah, and especially when you were turning out. That's great. You only need to do 2 notes in each octave, just like she did, okay? And then what we're gonna do is go down to lower octave, do 2 notes, and then go to the top octave. You don't have to do that now, but that's part of the routine, all right? And again, really make it extreme, flat, extreme sharp. The second version of this is going left and right on the chin. So you're going to start in normal position and then just take your left hand and tweak it left. And you're going to be off center with the aperture and the embouchure. And then you're going to come back to center and then you're going to go to the right, the opposite side, okay? And come back. Again, you're going to have varying quality. And what you need to do is take inventory of when it's most resonant and when it's most in tune. And I'm going to demonstrate. Great. And the third variety of the sweet spot is going up and down on the chin. So when you get in the really good snuggle spot, it's great. But then if you go up a little too high, the tone becomes very thin. And I want you to do that on purpose. And then I want you to pull the flute way down and do whatever you can to hang on to the sound and then come back. Excellent. It's not that hard, is it? And it didn't take us more than 2 minutes. So you just need to check in as this wakes up your air, gets your lips a little bit more malleable, a little bit more flexible. So in, out, left, right, up, down, you're done. Easy. And I have on my sheet maybe 3 minutes a day. That's all you need to do. Okay, good job, Hannah. Thank you. All right, we're going to harmonic exercise, and I'm going to have Julia work on that with me. So if you wait till I explain what we're doing, and then you can unmute yourself and try it. So we're going to start with fingering low E, and we're going to overblow and get the octave in a fifth, and we're going to go alternate back and forth between those two fingerings. Okay, in the rhythm that I've written on the paper. And then it's all going to be pianissimo, and then you're going to end on the harmonic and do a 10-second diminuendo. Want to try that for me?
Could I maybe hear it first one time?
Sure. And then you hold the last note for 10 seconds and then diminuendo. Okay? All slurred, all soft.
Oh, tapered release, sorry. Okay, sorry. I'm trying to read this, I'm like processing it slowly.
Great. Okay, the important thing is that you go very smoothly between the two fingerings and think of a real legato at pianissimo. And maybe you had too many oscillations in sixteenths, hold for 10 on the harmonic. I think you were playing the diminuendo on the B fingering. So make sure that the 10-second diminuendo is on the harmonic. That's going to really help pressurize your air, get you kind of in a yoga state of just getting a beautiful diminuendo. And I'm gonna try it once again. Let's go up chromatically F and C. So just up a half step and pianissimo, and then 2 sets da 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 of sixteenths when you get there, 2 beats
Okay.
of it, and then a 10-second diminuendo. Big breath, all in one breath. Excellent. Really nice. This is just a great exercise. If you have an audition and you're stuck in a taxi cab and you're late, this is a great one to pull your flute out and do in the back seat. It gets you centered, it gets that airspeed super fast, it gets your focus, it gets that support in a really, really great position. That was really lovely. Good. Any questions on that one, Julia?
No, I'm fine. I think just for the way I think I'd want to like actually write out the rhythm, because like seeing it in words kind of confuses me. But yeah, after some practice, I'm sure I'd memorize it.
And you can go all the way up to C natural and G. and C sharp and G sharp. That's the highest one. The higher you go, the more differentiation you're going to have in pitch. So don't worry so much about that. Work on the smooth connection between the two fingerings and keeping the airspeed generous, not loud, but generous. And just so that there's a nice connection. And again, I think you only have to do 5 minutes on that one. Maybe for you, 3.5, because your F and C one went really well. But it's a great one just to work on maybe the throat being open as well. So that was good. Bravo. All right, we can move on to rabbit attacks. Deepti, I'd like you to work on this with me. So let me show you what we're going to do. This is a really great exercise to work on that strength of that upper lip right here. Say the word you, use, blue, glue. Everybody can just do that individually. You, use, blue, glue. You should feel a little bit of pull. That's the muscle we're going to work on. And this is a great exercise to get a really powerful low register. So if you need a really honky low C, this is your go-to exercise. We're going to do it in 3 stages. You can just put your finger here first. We're going to just lift up that upper lip so I can see your pearly whites. Then we're going to turn out, like the word you, turn out, and then breath attack down. Up, out, down. Up, out, really turn out. Should be like a ski slope. Out, good. And then what we'll do is do it into the flute. Up, out, up, out, up, out. Those are just breath attacks. There's no tongue in there, so you want to really work on something that's very focused and very trim. Okay, I'll try a couple in maybe second octave.
Yeah.
Okay, pretty good. I'd like it to be more extreme. So I want to really see the top of your teeth. So you can take a selfie of yourself and then pull that upper lip down a lot more. Good. That's great. It's got to be really extreme. And you should be a little fatigued after maybe 5 or 6 of them. This is just a great way to build right in here so that we can get that powerful low register. So up, out, down. Okay, let's do one in the low register.
Okay.
It's a little harder down there, isn't it? It takes a little bit more time to get a focus. So this is a really great one to start to really think about utilizing the muscles just straight down from your nostrils. That's really what you want to be thinking of. So you want to go for just a nice, thick, powerful breath attack that has immediate response to it. And then in the upper register, you want to do the similar kind of thing. You might find yourself, everybody, buzzing just a little bit. If that happens when you go to the 3rd octave, just drop your jaw a little bit more. So 3rd octave, up, out, up, out, up, out, up, out. Now I'm going to buzz because I'm going to be too tight. Up, up. You hear the difference? So you just want to really drop the jaw. Want to try 1 or 2 in the upper register for me. Cool. So rapid attacks, you only need 3 minutes a day if you're going to do the 2-hour routine. If you're going to do 4-hour routine, go ahead and indulge a little longer. But you just really want to make sure that you've got that strength. I think Deepti, I heard you tongue a little bit, so make sure that you're just using the breath attack and that you separate the lips a little bit more if you're buzzing. Okay, good job, good job. All right, and Maddie's up for chromatic. Oh, no, vibrato exercise, that's next. Yeah, she's done this one before. All right, Maddie, do you remember how we do the vibrato and the extreme?
I think so. I think you want like really extreme sound, deep, wide, all of that, right? Okay, and just on any note.
Good. Yes, you remembered. So the important thing is that this is not the vibrato. This is not your mother's vibrato, your grandmother's vibrato. This is not the vibrato you're going to use for chaminade. This is vibrato that's extreme, over the top, edgy, really, we're really working on using super fast airstream and getting as big pulses as possible. Very angular, very jagged, and just really, really very active. And you're doing a pretty good job. I think when you get into the quintuplets and the sixes, you could be a little bit more extreme, more dramatic, and just go over the top, go over the edge, and then to make sure that you still know how to do real vibrato at the end, just vibrate regularly. That's great. So it's not rocket science. He's just holding a note and pulsing, and then making sure that you don't stop the air between pulses, right? Okay, and keeping the air always constant, and then pulsing, 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 and then just making sure that the throat stays open. This is a really good one to work on with a big yoga ball. You can sit on the yoga ball and get your hips and your pelvis tucked into the ball a little bit and just let your whole body vibrate and shake. 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s at quarter equals 60. I think the 1s and 2s are going to be fine for everybody, but I think we need to start with 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s and make it super extreme. And you're going to find that the third octave is going to maybe make you a little bit winded. You want to do a note in the upper octave and do a series of duple 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Great. What we heard from Maddie is very extreme, excellent, excellent, excellent. So really go over the edge and make sure that you would think about staying nice and open in the chest and open in the throat. That was really great. Nothing else I want to add. You're doing a really great job. Okay, we're going to move on to chromatic exercise, and we're back to Hannah. So Hannah, what I want you to do is, first of all, everybody take a little grease from your nose and on your pinky and slide it all around the C key, the C sharp key, the E flat key. Make sure it feels nice and comfortable, because we're going to work that lower quadrant of the chromatic quite a lot. So we're going to do, this is Jeffrey Gilbert's exercise from page 13 of his technical flexibility. You're going to start with low C and just do chromatic up to E natural, not repeating it, and down. And then once that feels really good, you're going to go 2 cycles. Once that feels good, you do 3 cycles and ultimately 4 cycles. Can you do that for me, please?
Okay, so do you mean like the second cycle is like faster or like doing it twice? Oh, okay. Keep going. Oh.
Okay, so we're going to do 4 times in one breath. Then we're going to go up to G sharp 4 times in one breath. Then we're going to go up to C 4 times in one breath. You get the idea? It's not going to be pretty, just push through it, and then we'll talk about how to work on it. It's not as easy as it sounds, right? Okay, so the important thing, Hannah, is that you just figure out where you are now, and ultimately, you know, form is more important than speed. So make sure that your right hand feels really comfortable and that everything is nice and even. If you've got some little bumps between those notes, then you need to work on those little cells, maybe between D and E natural or something. D sharp and E natural. So, but 4 times in one breath for each cell, and then you start E is your stopping point, then the G sharp, then the C, then the second octave E, all the way still from low C. You get it? Then the second octave G sharp, then the third octave C, all the way from the low C. This is just going to take 6 weeks. I promise you it will take 6 weeks for this to feel good. And then we keep going, high E, high G sharp, and high C. And my little high schooler from Austin, Texas was able to do 4 times in one breath from low C up to high C perfectly because she really, really worked on this. And her form was really more important than her speed for the first 3 weeks. So just make sure that your fingers are nice and close to the keys. That way up here. And you have a nice setup that feels nice and even. You could even practice air flute. See if, without putting your flute to your chin, see if it feels nice and even when you're going over the break. Okay, and that's a good way, because if your flute's bobbing a little bit, then it won't be really consistent in the sound. That's good. I see what you're doing. That's great. So especially when you go over the break, just be really careful. All right. Good. This one, I promise you, will be very frustrating for the first 2 weeks. Just push through it, and it's going to get better. If you don't like a cell, just practice that cell. I personally don't like C going to E natural. That's the cell I have to practice a lot. Maybe for you it would be, I don't know, but just you can work on a little cell and figure out where it feels uneven, where it needs a little more attention. This one I've assigned 10 minutes to, which is my longest one. So there's a reason because it's going to feel really awkward. I have another little exercise I want you to try first before you do this chromatic exercise. And it's a low C, E flat, C sharp. You just keep repeating it. C, E flat, C sharp, C, D, da, da. It really works that pinky of the right hand. You want to try that for me?
So you said C, E flat, and then
C, E flat, C sharp, C, E flat, C sharp, C. You just keep doing the same thing over.
C sharp.
Cool. Do you see how that warms up that pinky? Yeah, and it's a really great one. So this one, I think you're going to be frustrated with for a couple weeks, and then miraculously, you're going to be able to get up to high E. You don't have to start you don't have to complete the third octave in the first week. Just work the lower range, and make sure that that feels really consistent. So again, evenness, light technique, little balance, so you're not flipping all over here. Making sure that there's good distribution between the left hand and the right hand. Watching yourself in a mirror will be really helpful. Fingers close to the keys, and just getting everything coordinated. It's a really great exercise. All righty, now we have Julia.
Jill, I just have one question really quick. Is this exercise, the chromatic, is the challenge to play it at, full volume, full sound, and do all of those cells in one breath?
Yes, that's the challenge. What you want to probably do is make sure that you've got great finger technique first. And then I would start, when you're just doing the very first cell, going to the first E natural, fortissimo. Then by the time you get to the second octave E natural, maybe mezzo forte. By the time you get to the third octave E natural, you're going to be down to probably mezzo piano. You're going to have to play lighter, wispier, just to get through these 4 times in one breath. But consistency is really, really important, that you keep the same dynamic consistency from the low register to the middle to the top if you're doing that. And for that high schooler from Austin who did it in 6 weeks, by the time she got to the top octave, she was probably at piano. Just a nice steady airstream.
Thank you.
Just a quick question on this double tonguing exercise. Are we doing it on one note or alternating between two?
One note.
Okay, that's what I thought. So, do you want me to go through all the syllables? Okay. That's hard.
Which syllables did you find were more responsive for you?
I find like DG most responsive for me because for me in my double tonguing, I'm usually too short. So I find that to be easier, and least would be the KT and GD.
So the important thing is that you really differentiate between tickle, 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 turkey, 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 tickle, 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 turkey, turkey, turkey. Just go back and forth and just see what happens to the response, what happens to the depth of the sound while you're articulating, what happens to the evenness. Is it jerky or is it really subtle? Is the back syllable louder or more out of tune than the front syllable? These are the things that you can do, and you can just park on the T and K for 30 seconds, and maybe go for something very, very percussive, and try all of the vowels: tickle, turkey, tacky, taco, and then reverse it, starting with the K, and really making sure that, again, there's no pitch change or that it's nice and even, and see if kitty is easier than cutter or kettle. And everybody's different, and that's why I'm giving you some different shapes. The D's and G's, I thought were really good for you. And again, you might find that in the low register, you have to go to D's and G's, but in the top octave, you might need to go to T's and K's. So it's just for you to figure out, take 2 notes in each octave and experiment. And it's not rocket science. It doesn't take a long time, but make sure that your air speed is really, really fast, and that you're not interrupting the flow no matter what syllable you use. Okay. But yeah, I heard no pitch change from when you were just holding the note and then getting into the articulation. So that's a really good sign. If you are finding a big pitch change, then just make sure you're really investigating your support, because that's usually what's lacking. And again, with triple tonguing, you can try taka taka taka, or the double tonguing alternation, taka taka. Okay, just like it's written. It's really not a whole lot. And I only have 5 minutes assigned to that, so you might only need 3 minutes a day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Singing and playing, and we have Deepti. What I want you to do is let's do a whole top D. Then I'm going to vocalize while I'm holding, and I'm going to sing and gliss as high as I can, and still holding that top D. So you have to use a lot of power, a lot of support. Then you're going to gliss with your voice down below that top D, way down to the basement, and back up. Going way down. Great, you got that one down. The next thing I'd like you to do is sing along with your Bach sonatas if you want. Get somewhere close to the same pitch that you're going to play. So that's close to where I want to be for the E. That's where I want to be for the A. You have anything you can play by memory and sing along?
I can do the Bach E major, first movement. Can I start that over again? I think, yeah.
Cool. Now, when you take the voice out, you should feel nice and generous. Just play the first phrase for me, and then we're done. Great. This is a great exercise to use when you're feeling a little bit stuffy. Throat maybe feels a little bit closed, or maybe you feel congested in your sinus. It's just a great way of opening up. Wonderful. Good job. All right. Extreme range, bits of scales. Who's up? Maddie, is this you? Yeah. Okay, let me just demonstrate what we're doing really quickly. We're going to take the first 5 notes of C major. Do it 4 times. And I'm using big, massive sound, big, chunky vibrato when you finish. Then you're going to start on D, play the same notes, just go up to G. Get it? And then we start on E. 4 times. And then G down. Okay. Great, good job. What I would just investigate is to make sure that your pinky moving to E feels really good. C, D, pinky move for everybody else. And make sure that you like the evenness, make sure you like the airflow. That was really pretty good. I would power through this a little bit more so that you're really kind of getting used to blowing through the horn. And I think by blowing more, you're going to feel more confident with those fingers. So to me, you were playing maybe mezzo forte. I would bump it up to fortissimo. Okay, now we get to do the upper register. You might want to pull back a little bit from the microphone, and let's do the upper register. She made that sound so easy. This is not easy, you guys. This is, you're going to really have trouble for the first 4 or 5 days of this one, especially the upper register. But she's soaring through it with a whole lot of elegance and grace and evenness, and it's very impressive. So she's going to be ready in 2 weeks instead of 6 weeks for it to feel really great. Of course, we're not only going to do C major, you're going to affix key signatures so that you still start on the same note name, just add the sharp or flat, okay? Very good, Maddie. That was really nice and facile.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's go to Moise scale, and that would be Hannah. Hannah, let me just explain what we're going to do. You're going to start on a tonic, let's just say F major, and start on the low F, and you're going to go up to the high B flat, come down to the low C, and end on the F.
So all the way up to the highs. Okay.
Great. I think, did you go up to C instead of B flat?
Yes, I did. Sorry.
Yeah. B flat or B natural is going to be our stopping point in the Moise scale. But I'm great. You know, Jeffrey Gilbert had us do scales up to high D. So the fact that you're doing C is great. But right now, because we're going to eventually do these 4 times in one breath, I know it sounds ridiculous, but my high schooler and my adult amateur did it, after 6 weeks. So you're going to do 4 cycles, 4 times that scale, 4 times in one breath ultimately, okay? You don't have to do that now. And you don't need to do all the keys every day. I would suggest, the sharps Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and flats Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or vice versa, whatever you want to do. But to get through all the keys every week, really, really important. And this is another good one just to work on with the yoga ball so that you're really getting underneath the sound for the upper register to make sure that you're getting depth, like in the top. All right, so a lot of wind and a lot of depth. All right, very good. I'm not going to make you play it twice through or 3 times or 4 times through, but you can, that's your challenge. And you can kind of keep track on your worksheet, like Monday, what keys you do and how many times you're able to do it. And maybe by the end of the week, you could see that you've added 1 more cycle. Okay, and then last of this group is the Niente exercise, and we're going to have Julia do that. So Julia, let me just explain. We're just coming from nothing and taking a sliver of a sound and then pulling back out. And right now you don't have to do it in any kind of meter, but just let's do it. Maybe a top D is a good one to work on. You're just going to go from nothing to a tiny bit of sound back to nothing. Good. I just want to make sure that we don't really know when that note starts. So no bump, just come from nothing. I know this is hard to hear on Zoom, but just see what you can do. Lower lip out a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm having difficulty adding vibrato without it being like bumpy.
So start without any vibrato first, just till you get the organization of your lower lip, the position of your lower lip, the cushion of the airstream, and then take it out. The diminuendo is as important as the coming from nothing. So from nothing to nothing, that's really what we want to do with this one. And then once D feels good, then add a little vibrato, and then go up to E flat and E natural and F sharp and G. A flat. This is a great exercise if you have to play a high pianissimo A natural and the conductor is ready and he's cueing you and you have to be exactly on time and exactly pianissimo. This is your go-to exercise. Good job, Julia. Yay, yay, yay. Okay, now we're going to crash through very quickly. Get your Taffanel Gobert out. And we're going to...
Can I just ask one question really quick? Sorry. Back to the Moise scales, do you do that one at a specific dynamic, or is it just as long as it's consistent throughout?
Consistency is important. I would start with fortissimo just so you start to build up your sound. And by the time you end up doing 4 times in one breath, just like we did with the chromatic exercise of Jeffrey Gilbert, you're going to have to be at piano. And that's a really great training exercise just to work on playing light and wispy and feathery and evenly.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go to Taffanel number 1. Where do we leave off? Deepti? Yeah, so with this one, this is a great one to really take out all your anger, all your madness about COVID, and you can't see your friends and you can't have schooling the way you want it. Just take out your aggressions on this one. I want you to crack. I want it to be vulgar. I want it to be over the top. I want 2 octaves at once. I want you to push the sound through the horn as much as you can. So I'm really, really getting some some metallic sound, just a lot of edge. And this just gets your air going. And it's a great way to kind of work on that upper lip too, to be nice and thick. It's just totally gross. I need you to be totally gross. Okay, ready to do that? You're not gross enough. 2 octaves at once, really thick sound, crack, drop your jaw, maybe roll out a little bit more if you need, because we need to really build up your sound. And then maybe by line 4, let's play normal. So you know you can play normal. All right, try it again. I'm gonna really, really exaggerate it. You hear those 2 octaves at once? It's a lot of thickness. When you get to the last note, vibrate the heck out of it like we did with the vibrato exercise. I'll try again. Did you feel winded?
More this time, but I think I could go even more. Yeah. Okay.
You're still a little polite in my opinion, but it's getting better. Just push through, okay? And again, you don't need more than 5 minutes on this. So you don't need to do every line. Maybe do some in the middle octave, some in the upper octave, and some in the low octave every day. All right, good job, thank you. Now we go to Maddie doing Taffanel 4, Rich and Decadent. And I think you've done this with me before, but do you have any questions on it?
Just slow and beautiful tone, right?
Okay, so it's nice and even, but it doesn't have that resistance that I'm looking for, the pulling back and the richness and the decadence. So let's talk about just using a little more expression, a little more energy between the notes. Sit on the backside a little bit more. If you want to think about vibrato on the notes, that's fine. I'm not going to suggest that because it's very controversial, but I would just say a little bit more energy. So when you get to that top D, you should feel the resistance and the resonance. And you do want to practice rhythmic breathing. So you're going to breathe on every bar with the metronome. Make sure the note before your breath has a lot of voicing, and that the first note of the next phrase after the breath doesn't have an accent. So I'm really resonant on that top. See what I did? I took the breath, but I made sure that my F was as good as the G. Supporting that A. I'll try again. Cool. The resonance was a lot better, but the vibrato was a little bit on the wild side. This one, I think we want to work for rich and decadent and really creamy, and let's not get too bumpy with the vibrato. But I really heard more depth that time. I heard more energy. We just want to connect the dots with a little bit more sound, okay? Yeah, good. You want to try that? Just tempering the vibrato a little bit. Excellent. I hope everybody heard that it was more resistant. It had a little more tenuto to the sound, and yet it wasn't so nervous in the vibrato. That was really great. Okay, we move on. We're going to do number 6, and that's going to be with Hannah. And for number 6, we're only going to do the top 2 lines. This is just scales and thirds, and the hardest part is the turnaround. So I want you to practice, Hannah, just fingering the turnaround. So starting with the high E, G, F, A, B, G, A, F. So this is at the end of the very first line. Just finger it, E, G, F, A, B, G, A, F. That's the hardest part. You see where we are at the end of the first line?
Yeah, so the E, G, F, A.
So I wanted you to go on and do the turnaround. F, A, B, G, A, F, the next beat of the next line. Great. So this one is really tough to execute evenly. I need you to do both lines in one breath, and it doesn't have to be today. It will take you a while to do that. But your tempo is going to be about that tempo to get all the way through ultimately, okay? So first you want to start slowly, work on form. To do that, you want to practice. So grace notes, the short, long, then reverse it, etc. Then try it in triples. You get the idea? So you're not always practicing duple. Those are really great techniques. And here's another one that's not done very often. So 1 slow, 2 quick, 1 slow for every group. And again, you don't have to do this right now, but practice that turnaround like you did. You can tongue it if you need to. You can breath attack it. You just get through that turnaround, memorize it, and work on this by memory in front of a mirror, 2 lines in 1 breath, as fast as you can do it evenly. Okay, and again, we're just not going to do C major. There's a bunch of key signatures at the bottom of that page that you'll want to do. So portion that out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, do flats, etc. Nothing much to that. But if you need to practice slur to tongue to because of Mozart or something, go ahead and put any articulations you wish. But the main thing I'm looking for is facility and just evenness. So that's why I like it all slurred, all in one breath, and practicing to turn around a little bit more than the rest of it. So the last beat of the line, the first beat of the second line. Okay, thank you. And then we go to number 7 with Julia. I'm going to show you how to get it started. Main thing I want to say is it's all going to be up an octave. So I want you to first practice breath attack. That's one way. You're going to go all the way through it. Not today, but when you're working on your own, all the way through without any repeats. Then you're going to go back and you're going to practice the different articulations and different rhythms. If you're having trouble with the fingerings, which will happen at the end of every little set, every little segment, like the high B, A, G, you could practice. Dotted 8/16 or 8th triplet or triplet 8th. But let's just see how it feels going through maybe the first 3 lines. Let's do a single tongue détaché. So okay, so you heard how a little harder as you got into the A range and the B range. So make sure you put the metronome on and play this nice and evenly. Maybe put the metronome on the 8th note so you get 2 pulses per beat, and that'll give you more accountability. Good. So just follow my instructions of the different articulations and the different rhythms, but basically you're going to go all the way through, and the only other rule is that it's up an octave and that you work on some cells that don't feel so good. So just spend a little bit more time on that. Okay, and then we go to Deepti for Taffanel 11. So with this one, we're going to work on making sure that the wide intervals are really well voiced and prioritized. What I would like you to do is go very slowly. When you have the widest interval, I want you to throw in some grace notes. Fill in that interval. So that E flat was going to have grace notes from E flat all the way to C. When I feel like I have a wide interval that I'm a little bit worried about, that's when I'm going to put grace notes descending or grace notes ascending. And what I do is I take inventory where my lip is for the ending note, and for where the voicing is, and where the airspeed is, where the throat position is. And then I take out those grace notes. So it feels nice and fluid and lyrical and really connected. But the grace notes is the key to it, okay? Still doesn't feel good, so I park there for a while. And that feels good. So why don't you just give me a little practice of how you would be working this on your own. Good. You didn't really need to throw in those grace notes. Your wide intervals, your E flat to C was quite good. This is for the others, okay? So, ah, ooh, good voicing will help. Adding more support, throwing your support down to the basement as you go into the stratosphere. That's another thing that will really help. We chose the easy part, but it gets harder when you have to do those figures that have high E naturals in them and high F sharps. They squawk a little bit easier, so make sure that you practice something with a high F sharp and a G sharp and upper register as well. Okay, you don't have to do every measure of this one. It's very, very long, but it's a great way just to work on consistency and making sure that you don't have bumps in your intervals. So you want to penetrate the lower note and then use enough air to get to the upper note. So that's why we do the grace notes. Good job. And lastly, we're on number 12 already. And who's up? Maddie. Okay, Maddie, I'm going to have you start breath attack. Excellent. Good job. You're cracking just a little bit on the way down, so make sure that the flute's turned out a little bit. You're not covering too much of the hole. Okay, the next thing I want you to do is the harder one where we're going to start fortissimo and slur it all and do a diminuendo to the top B natural and then crescendo down through the bottom. Very slowly, very graded, 10, 9, 8, 7 in terms of volume. You understand? Great. I can tell you've done that before. Your lips are in the right position. You know, you can try this on Monday, Wednesday, Friday with vibrato, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday without vibrato, just to work on a smooth connection, because I'm hearing a little bit of bumpiness between notes. But I like that you were really gunning it and going for it. The one that Maddie just demonstrated it's very difficult, but she did a really nice graded 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and it was really, really very perceived. So thank you. Again, you want to exaggerate these dynamics to really make sure that you're getting everything out of it. And then of course you do the opposite. You start at the beginning and play pianissimo and bloom to the top so that your top B is a 9 or a 10 level. And then you'll diminuendo to the bottom. Different articulations. And Maddie, this is the fun one. Do you remember when we did the cadenza?
Yeah.
Make up any rhythm, tempo, dynamic, style. You can add flutter tongue, you can triple tongue, you can double tongue, you can put a fermata on notes. So give me a cadenza and do something different on every measure.
Do you want to keep going? Keep going? Okay. Oh. I can't read music, sorry.
Cool. You did something different every measure. Thank you. You're cracking a little bit, so I know your brain is split with thinking, what am I going to do? And how can I be creative? And I do want you to be as creative as possible. You might want to start with the page 2. The fingerings feel a little bit easier when you get to maybe the lower range. And just have some ideas of what you want to do. In non-COVID times, when I do this seminar, I have Maddie play the first measure, and she can do whatever she wants. But by the time she ends that measure, then her buddy, who's going to play measure 2, someone else, has to start in the same dynamic that Maddie ended in, the same spirit, same style, the same tempo, and then do something totally different with that second measure. And then Maddie has to come back in on the third measure, doing what her buddy did at the end of the measure. We can't really do it here. It doesn't work on Zoom. But it's just a very fun, flexible, improvised way of getting through these arpeggios and through the range and the height of this. So when you are allowed to be in the same room with another flutist, it's a really fun game, and just to experiment and learn from each other and try to match tone, try to match color, projection, style, and then inspire your buddy. It's really, really a ton of fun. So we've gone through everything, you guys. Good job. Great job. What I want to say is, I gave you the amount of minutes. Hopefully everybody got that sheet. So 5 for Taffanel number 1, 5 minutes for Taffanel 4, 10 minutes for Taffanel 6, 10 minutes for Taffanel 7, 5 for 11, and 8 for number 12. And again, all these numbers, all these minutes add up to 100 minutes. So that's 2 hours of practice sessions. And that's minimum for you to feel like you're getting any kind of headway. Of course, if you have 4 hours, you can double everything, all the minutes that I've assigned, or make your own assignments. Do make sure that you log in your progress. You can, on this sheet, this worksheet, you can say quarter equals 100 was really good for some of these scales. And then by the end of the week, 108 was really good. You can write in the scales that you do, the flats and the sharps, and you can make notes. You can Xerox this worksheet as many times as you need and take a lot of notes and really review so that you're really following your progress. You're going to find in 4 days, it's incredibly improved. And then after a week, you're going to get another big bump. And then after 2 weeks, things are going to really start to feel predictable. And then 4 weeks, you're going to really feel like you've gotten some headway. And then 6 weeks, if you have those 4 hours a day, 6 weeks, you're going to nail it. If you don't have those 4 hours, it's going to take you a little longer, but that's okay. Do make sure you take breaks, as I mentioned on the very first page, that you do stay hydrated. You can put your hands under hot water in your 10-minute break. You can use a big yoga ball to practice on. So I have one right here. You can get a lacrosse ball. This is like $2.49. It's an NC2A approved lacrosse ball. I have all my students keep it in their gig bag, and you can rub your palms. You can give yourself a massage on your forearm. You can get rid of tension here. It's just amazing. There's something about the density of a lacrosse ball. A tennis ball does not work as well. It's the density of this NC2A approved lacrosse ball that's really helpful. You can get one for your feet, a separate one. You can work on your eye mask and make sure you're not harboring any tension here or in your jaw. You can put the ball on the wall and go up and down on your spine, like to the left of your spine or to the right of your spine, and really give yourself like a nice massage even here. So it's a great, great little tool. So we have a few minutes for questions. I think I've mentioned everything I want to say. This is a lot of cluster bomb info. And do expect it's going to be a hot mess for many of these exercises for the first 4 or 5 days. But then if you stick with it and you are very deliberate and you think about form and style, that will be much more helpful than hurrying through these. There's a lot of structure with this. Be kind, be simple. These are little flute hacks, and I know I've kind of worked on all the hard parts of flute playing. So you are going to feel a little bit uncoordinated, as I said earlier, for the first week or so. But I think after 1 week, you're going to have a radical difference, very extreme progress. So, okay, I open it up for you guys.
If there's any questions at all, feel free to drop them in the chat, or if you'd rather, just say your question, we can do that too. I think this is incredibly detailed, so I think you cover a lot of your bases. But if there's any other questions on any particular exercise, or maybe, even a different way you've thought of maybe practicing one of them and you want to see, what some feedback on that might be, any questions like that. And so far,
I just wanted to say hi to Jill. My friend Greer Ellison from California told me about your class, and I'm recovering from COVID right now. I don't know how I got it. I always wear a mask, and I only went out to go for walks and doctor's visits. But it was great to hear just a little of this. As I said in my chat, some of my former students have studied this with you and have given me your notes, and I think it's fantastic. And so it's great, but it's great to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. And since I've been really badly sick for a few weeks here, it'll be really great to help me too, to try to get back into shape.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that you have COVID, Catherine. I hope you continue to recover and, are back to normal in no time. So, but thank you for joining us.
Yeah, great to see you.
Good to see you, Catherine. It's been a while, and we don't get to see each other at conventions for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how you stayed focused during all this, during the pandemic.
Well, I have a mantra: productive, reflective, proactive. So I try to do a little bit of every day of each of those things. I'm enjoying being in our home. I'm enjoying being safe. Just a lot of gratitude for this time and a way to connect with the students still on Zoom. It's not perfect, but they're still making progress and they're still getting inspired and they're getting instruction. So it's okay.
Yeah, it's good. It definitely is an adjustment in teaching. Do you ever use clean feed when you're teaching one-on-one? Do you know what that is?
I know about it, and Greer told me about it yesterday. I tried it once, and it didn't make any difference, and it was just a lot of awkward changes, and so I've been doing FaceTime, honestly. I think the quality is so much better on FaceTime, and I do the Zooms for the studio classes and for these master classes, but I like FaceTime because we can really hear much more detail.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, I don't think there's too many questions, but if anyone comes up with any, or, is someone that joined us from, wanting the link from Jill or anything like that, and if anyone else wants the packet, I'm going to drop my email in the chat if you want to email me, and I'll be happy to get a copy of that to you. Otherwise, I would like to thank our performers, Hannah and Julia and Deepti and Madison, for joining us today. You were all fabulous. I was glad it was not me performing a lot of those exercises in this today. You all did a really great job, and I hope it was helpful to you and will continue to be as you continue practicing and learning. And the biggest thank you to Jill for joining us today. Even though we don't get to see you and, a lot of our flute friends as often as we normally would, it's nice to get to see you virtually and get to work with you this way. So thank you for joining us and sharing your wealth of knowledge today. I am excited to have these exercises to do. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for hosting and this for the idea, and all of you for auditing, and especially performers for having a good sense of humor. Maddie, well, you'll tell us that it gets easier, right?
Yeah, I haven't done your full 6-week program on my own ever, but I've done exercises here and there and worked on them, for a period of time. And it does get easier. It does get easier.
Cool. So have a great sense of humor, everybody, and stay healthy. And Catherine, get healthier. I guess she's gone by now, but so have a great year, you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your Sunday. I hope you have a great upcoming week.